It's been another busy week for all of us in Ragnarok Mobile, and as always, at the end of the week, we have our closing battle, the event that marks the culmination of everything we've done throughout the week. I'm talking about War of Crystal. This mode has been with us almost since the very beginning of ROM. For years, it has been one of the core activities that many of us built our schedules around. Every Sunday you prepare your character, gather your guildmates, jump into voice chat, and get ready for war. It's something so familiar that it almost feels like a tradition now. And maybe that's exactly the problem, because it has been around for so long. I feel like many of us, including the developers, have slowly started taking this mode for granted. The same thing happened to MVP wars in some ways. What was once exciting slowly became routine. Nowadays, for many players, it feels less like a battle and more like a weekly checklist. Log in, join the event, play for in minutes most of the time, collect mediocre honor point, go to sleep. The end. That's a bit sad to think about, because War of Crystal should be one of the most exciting events in the entire game. ROM has always been a game built around large-scale warfare. Massive guild battles, coordinated pushes, strategic positioning, clutch moments, last-second defenses. Those are the moments that made many of us fall in love with this game in the first place. The feeling of hundreds of players fighting for the same objective. The adrenaline, the tension, the excitement, the satisfaction when your team finally succeeds after weeks of preparation. Those moments are what make MMORPG PvP memorable. But somewhere along the way, I feel like a lot of that feeling has disappeared. Maybe it's because of the matchmaking pools. Maybe it's because the player population has shifted over the years. Or maybe it's simply because we've been doing the same thing for too long. I honestly don't know the exact answer. What I do know is that many War of Crystal matches nowadays feel predetermined before they even begin. You're either the bully or the one getting bullied. If your guild ends up in a favorable pool, the war becomes one-sided. If you're on the other side, you spend the entire event trying to survive. And when that happens week after week, the excitement slowly fades away. Instead of entering the battlefield wondering who will win, many players already have a rough idea of what the outcome will be before the first crystal is even touched. And I think that's where the biggest issue starts. Not because players don't care anymore or guilds stop trying, but because the sense of uncertainty, the feeling that anything can happen, is slowly disappearing. And when that uncertainty disappears, so does a big part of the excitement. So the question becomes, how do we make War of Crystal feel important again? How do we bring back that feeling where every push, defense, and decision matters? So somewhere along the way, War of Crystal lost part of its original purpose. Back then, War of Crystal, or WOC, was supposed to be a reward for guilds that successfully conquered specific castles and proved themselves in War of Imperium. It felt like an achievement. You fought hard during WoE, and if you succeeded, you earned the right to participate in WOC. Later on, the system changed, and any guild that owned a castle could gain access to WOC. Now, to be fair, this change wasn't entirely bad. One positive thing about it is that it encouraged more guilds to participate in War of Imperium. It gave players another reason to show up every week, because if you managed to secure a castle, you unlocked access to another competitive event. But then another question appeared. What happens after you reach the top? WoC currently has different tiers: Star, Moon, and Sun. Sun is supposed to represent the highest level of competition. It's where the strongest guilds should battle each other and where the most prestigious victories should happen. But what exactly do you get for reaching that level? Once your guild reaches Sun tier, what's the next objective? Is there additional prestige or a meaningful reward? Is there a unique resource worth fighting for? Is there a long-term progression system that motivates guilds to keep competing? None. I think that's the window of opportunity that the developers can focus on. By improving the existing foundation of the WoC, give players more objectives to chase, introduce meaningful rewards that create excitement, revisit the ranking system, matchmaking system, create incentives that make every battle feel important again. WoC already has one huge advantage compared to many other PvP modes in ROM. It is one of the few large-scale events that consistently runs with relatively stable performance. The number of players is controlled. The battlefield is structured. Massive lag spikes are far less common compared to other large-scale activities. The foundation is already there. It just needs new life. A reason for players to care again. Reason for guilds to feel proud of their achievements. A reason for players to look forward to Sunday night instead of treating it as another weekly chore. Events like WoC are not just about rewards. They're about creating memories, creating rivalries, about giving communities something to rally behind. And I believe with a few adjustments, WoC can become exciting again. Of course, this is only my personal opinion. Maybe you agree or disagree. Maybe you have completely different ideas. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Maybe together we can come up with ideas that eventually reach the developers and help improve the event for everyone. Anyway, that's my 2 cents about War of Crystal. Thanks for listening to my little weekend rant. Have a good night, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.